thunderstorms here, and the weathermen are never right unless you're actually outside when they say that the storm's coming. But if I was just inside doing nothing, no rain. When I think about global warming, well, some people think it's a farce and it's just a money-making enterprise. That may be true to some extent. Some people think the whole thing is just a conspiracy theory to make money, maybe to cause undue worry and everything, but I kind of think there might be some truth to it. I mean, things are definitely different, and I do believe that climate comes in cycles. I remember being a kid and we got really deep winter snowstorms, heavy snow, lots of snow. And then I remember in the late 80s and throughout the 90s we didn't get that much snow again, and then in the 2010s, not too long ago, we were getting heavy snows again. So I think it's definitely cyclical, but I also think the United States does a pretty good job of curbing emissions. The cars and the factories have scrubbers, and there's a lot of things, a lot of controls here in the US that I think prevent a lot of global warming. The problem is we're just one little country in the whole world, and a lot of the manufacturing has left the United States because of the strict EPA guidelines that they had to follow, so they've gone somewhere else. So it's all about money in the end, isn't it? Let's see. Barn. No, that's not good. Hi, I'm Tom. Looks like another scorcher. It's supposed to be 95 here next week, which is really almost unheard of. I don't want to complain about water, especially when so many areas are thirsting for water so badly, but we've been getting terribly violent thunderstorms, and it's just been washing everything away. My driveway's decimated again, as is out behind the barn. There was some lightning that struck somewhere near, and while the power flickered a couple times, most everything seemed to be fine. A fuse blew in the electric fence charger, but when I went out in the barn this morning, I noticed the fans were off. So I just checked the breaker with you, and I can see that there's an issue. So let's go take a walk around and see if we can isolate the trouble and get this resolved, because I've got a lot of other stuff that has to be done, and it's just fact of life on the farm is you can make all the plans you want, but Mother Nature often has other ideas. Just about everything out here is on a GFI if it's near water. For some reason, the previous owner, when he was here, he made some kind of weird switch here, and that switch shuts off all the power throughout the barn. So I'll disconnect that there and then see if the breaker blows. If the breaker blows, that means I've got an issue between the breaker box and the barn itself. So we'll isolate that first. Alright, so that's not good. Alright, power's disconnected. I'll put this on diode check and then touch the leads together. It should make it it should beep. Alright, so when it beeps like that, it means there's a dead short, and so I've got a dead short somewhere. It might not be this outlet, it might not be. I think the best thing to do is this right here is the cable that comes from the house. So I'll take this outlet apart and make sure it's not this cable itself, because I'm 99% sure this cable is the one that goes to the house. Unfortunately, the person who wired this is no longer around, and he did sketchy wiring at best, but I'm fairly certain that this switch right here switches the barn on and off, because I've got it taped, and the kids have flipped it down like that before, and I've had no power, and I've chased power for hours. So I'm reasonably sure that the power goes from the breaker in the shed to this outlet and then to this switch. So I guess I'll just start here and take this open and isolate this and see if that narrows things down. It's worn out, so this just may be a good opportunity to start there. So here's the outlet, and here's the breaker right here. I'm gonna say it had to be that outlet. Let's see. And for sure, talking my way through this while I'm doing it, it's like I'm explaining to you what I'm doing while I'm doing it, and so I'm making my brain do the thing and explain it while I'm doing it. Alright, yeah, if you want to make something take 3 times as long, do a YouTube video while you're doing it. And make sure you have your camera turned on, because if you've done the whole thing and the camera's not on, then you gotta go do it again. And then you look at it and make sure that your angles were good and your voice came through. So you could do something that takes you an hour to do it, then spend 3 hours editing it, and it still might be junk. And you never know what people are going to be interested in watching. Just never know. One of my biggest videos that I've made, or the most popular videos, was a Farmall Cub spread manure, and I'm blown away by how many people watched it. Alright, so I got these wires through. I have my grounds on all of them. Here's my outlet. I like to make these with the ground facing down. Some people make it like that. I like it this way. So the National Electrical Code is the organization, or the Bible that tells you how to do everything electrical. And if I'm just trying to remember what I was taught, and I'm pretty sure that they don't care if it goes this way, this way, this way, this way. Doesn't really matter. Just depends on the way you like it. Some people really want it this way, but I just like it that way. It looks like an O face. So anyway, gonna open this up a little bit. So the next thing I want to show you is these little devices right here. This one's Ideal. Ideal makes good equipment also. They do a lot with telecom. And this one here is Klein. Klein's actually my favorite. Klein's really a top notch. It's kind of like up there with Snap-on. So they're not cheap. They're definitely top notch. But this little device right here, what this does, this is like a cheater. And this is how you test your outlets to see if you've done it right. And I'm trying to get you into a dark spot here without electrocuting myself. But you can see I got those 2 amber lights on the right. That means when you look at the top, right there, it shows you that 2 amber lights is correct. And I can't get the angle quite right, but you can see down at the bottom the 2 amber lights. Right here on the left-hand side, there's all those squares, and it tells you what the circuit is when you've plugged it in. And then you can see now I've got these 2 amber lights, so that tells me that the outlet is wired correctly. Alright, if this doesn't work, it would hum. Normally it would hum and then trip. So it's got to be what it was. Now let's see if I can remember how to turn the water on. Let's see. There's my pump, and I need to close this drain valve. A little bit of rust in it, a little bit of mud. Run it for a little bit. It'll clear up. You can drink it, you just want to let it run for a little while. The little window weight holds the trapdoor up. Solar panels up on the roof. Right there's the solar panel. So this whole house is off grid. There's a good sized pond over there that I mowed around. Privy's right there. You can see the red. Right there. And then the woodshed is right there. And if you were to go over by the well and take a left, there's a bunkhouse down there. Now, I think I probably need about 5 gallons to do what I want to do. And according to the instructions, this is what I use here, this fruit tree spray. I also have dormant tree spray, but this one here has everything I need in it. It basically, because it's a complete, so it has the cap tin, which attracts the bees and gets rid of the scabs, the moths, apple maggots, and it also controls Japanese beetles, which is what I've got a problem with right now on some of my trees. You want to make sure that you're upwind of your sprayer when you're spraying. You don't want to get this stuff all over you. You can wear a chem suit, if you will, while you're doing it, but generally just want to stay upwind of it, and that resolves most of the issues. But an hour after I'm done, just because, well, let's think about it. If it's not good for bugs, probably not so good for you either. And I left my twine out here the other day. You were supposed to tell me that I left it, and you didn't. But here it is. Let's throw that in there. That fruit spray smells terrible. So I got a lot of peaches. They're going to be small this year. This is the first year I've actually had peaches, so I can start picking them pretty soon. There's a lot. So I'm not going to spray the peach because they're so close to being ready. I don't think it's a good idea to spray this one. And I don't really have a problem with bugs on this one. It's this one right here has this fungus on it. So I'm going to treat for that. But you can see the Japanese beetles. Those things are the bane of my existence. And you can see this is turning here. This is all damage from beetles. This one's not too bad. That one over there is okay as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray these trees over here that don't have any fruit on them anyway. So I'm going to get some spray on those, and then I'll go over and spray my pears and the apples one more time. And those will be ready next month. So you don't want to put spray on within 14 days of harvest. So I'm well outside those those parameters there. This has an adjustable nozzle. I can change the way it sprays, but right now I'm just putting a mist on it. It's all going up towards the house so that the breeze is going that way. It's going away from me. You really want to put it on there. You want it to be dripping off. You don't want to just hardly put any on there. You just need to be real careful you don't get it on yourself. Breeze on the other side. Camera may. So here's the grape arbor. Tons and tons of grapes. This thing is just like always. It is. We'll get some broccoli and cabbage. I would say there's some tomatoes. These are grape tomatoes. My favorites are the Romas. And then these are the big boys, beef steaks or whatever you want to call them. We usually plant marigolds in with everything, and it kind of helps with the bugs. And that's a nice one. You see the marigolds there. The weeds got a little bit ahead of us. That's pretty typical. I'll come out with a weed whacker and the mower and clean this mess up. Now that I'm done spraying, I need to drain it. And clean it out. First thing I think I'll do is I'll put water in it. And they have showcase gardens. It looks like out of a picture book. And those are great, but mine never look like that. If they do, it's because I have nothing else to do in my life besides weed. And I generally weed them while they're coming up until they get started pretty good, and then I try to cultivate the corn and the sunflowers and stuff and the beans, but at some point it just gets out of control, and that's that. So I'm checking my timer. I have a daylight bulb here in the chicken house, and even though it's summertime and I have lights, it still gets a little dark in here, and it's 7 o'clock right now, so it should be off. We're on the downward slide now as far as, it get dark earlier. But what I generally do is have that light go off during the day when it's still light out, and that way the chickens aren't up and about doing stuff, and then the light goes out on them, and then they're all caught doing musical chairs, and there's no seat left. So I have it go off during the day, but it comes on early. I know after the last video I did with a whole chicken, there had some of you who are curious about how we did it, and so this is a whole chicken, and I like the whole chickens. They do pretty well on the grill, and there's not a lot to it, to be honest with you. One of our whole chickens that we grew here on the farm this year, and some of you may remember me bringing those to the butcher shop a couple months ago. And so I'm going to grill it on the hibachi today. Some people like to put seasoning on it, but I really don't like to put anything on the chicken while it's grilling, because what happens is it will dry it out a little bit. So especially salt, you don't want to put salt on it. Instead, my go-to for pretty much everything is EVOO, and so I pretty much rub it all over the entire bird. And what that does, that kind of seals in the juices and keeps it nice and tender and juicy. Tender and moist. Alright, so once I've got the bird as basically as prepared as it's going to be, we go over to the hibachi, and some people like to put it on a bare grill. I really don't, and it may just be because that's the way my mom was, but put Reynolds wrap or some sort of tin foil down first. So let's get the hibachi going, and then we'll... It's just an old school hibachi that I bought a number of years ago. What I tend to do is what I'll do is I'll make 2 and I got some of this lump charcoal too that I'm trying to use up, so I'll put some of that in there. This stuff doesn't light very well, but once it gets going, it goes pretty well. Lump charcoal is different than the briquettes. It's just basically, it looks like whatever stump it was taken from. There's different kinds of charcoals. There's the hickory and the applewood and all kinds of stuff. You can actually put some chips on it if you want for the apple smoke taste. And then, so I've got that set up. And then just take my torch. And I put my grate on. Nothing fancy. You know, the no stick spray on it, you end up leaving part of your chicken behind you. I don't want to do that. So, once you get a good fire going, that wants to blow right away. So you got to be kind of quick about it. But I'm going to spray it. That's a soy-based spray, and it's not my favorite thing to use soy, but. And then so you want it with the breast up, just like that. So your breast is up, and then we'll just close it. I'll leave this venting for a little bit, and it'll take about an hour and a half or so to make that. So it'll take about an hour and a half or so, and then I'll come back and check it. Just use a regular meat thermometer, which I'll check and make sure it's 185 before I start eating it. But I'll probably come back once or twice and put some more oil on it. So let's go get a few things done, then we'll come back and take a look at this bird. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. They haven't been on this grass since June, so it's come back. So I've had them off it for about 30 days. A lot of people will overgraze their land. They'll get too many animals for what their carrying capacity of their land is, and then they got to feed out hay. And hay costs money. My fence is down in the pucka brush here. Hey guys, over here. What do you think, fellas? Come on. What you doing? Hey. Come on. We'll put fly spray on you tonight when you get your grain. You gotta stand on your tippy toes. Yeah, clouds look black. It's not supposed to rain today, but there was some serious wind here a minute ago. So here's my other flashing light right there, but I haven't turned the power on yet. But they don't know that, so don't tell them. Alright, so I want this to be, in order to be safe, it needs to be about 185. So, let's take a look. Won't be quite right. So we're about 125 or so. So I got a ways to go on this. I'm gonna go ahead and close that and close the vent now. So we'll come back in a little bit. Yeah, can you pull the whole thing back that way?
Well, I just tried.
Get on that side, I'll help you.
What?
I said pick one side or the other. I'll help you move it back. Because I need to get in here.
Get right in. That good?
Don't put your fingers under it, it hurts.
Just did.
I gotta get a new construction blade. I used to have one. I don't know where it went.
I don't even think that'll cut.
It will. I'm just saw through nails and everything.
You should go get one.
I don't have one. I'll have to order one.
Chalk line and tape.
Chalk line, tape measure, pencil.
Make sure. Let me see that first. Make sure it actually works. Yeah, it just barely works.
It works or you work?
Actually, you'll hit a nail.
Where, an inch?
Yeah. Right here. You're gonna hit the edge of this nail.
I have to get on the inside of it. Blow it out, you take the lid forward and blow all this out, and then it gets rid of the cobwebs. Grab the block this side.
I was gonna split it. Let me put my
Let's slide it. Because the sheep will start pulling on it, and they'll end up taking this door and making a mess. Because they'll start working. They'll be out. They'll come right down this alleyway, and they will poop everywhere. Which in itself is bad enough, but if the door up here happens to be not latched properly, then they just open that door, or if the door is open, see right now it's not really It's not really closed. They'll just open it and then they'll be in the yard. One of the cub weights done. Let's check the other one. Like an idiot, I oversold the amount of cub weights I had. I put 2 sets on the Cub Cadet, which is great. It works really well with 2 sets on it, but that means I'm short 1 for the 78. Doesn't have front weights on it, and I want to do some plowing with it soon, probably in one of the next upcoming videos. But with the rollover plows in particular, some people call them hillside plows, I call them rollover plows. You gotta have weights on the front. And if I go through all the trouble to put them on, I might as well clean them up. So anyway, my friend Jason, who's the sheriff, happened to have a set, and anyway, there's one, the other one's all done. Alright, let's try this again. And we're at 180, so that's where we want to be. Alright, now we'll try a little bit of Montreal chicken on it. It smells good. Look at the juice coming out of there. Check that out. That is juicy. It's like water rolling right out of there. That is the juiciest chicken I have seen. But you see how it's cooked through now? It's not like clear like fish would be. That's good chicken. Here, try some. Well, I guess that's it for today. This video is already running a little bit long in the tooth. So I appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate everybody who comments, likes, and subscribes especially. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.